channel. We are gonna make pork breakfast sausage patties. Yeah. I know most of you guys don't watch my intros anyway because they're kind of long, like a minute. So I'm gonna keep it. Okay, that just scared me. That's my son bouncing the ball here. This is his ball. Okay, so the reason that scared me so much is because it is raining and there is thunder. I almost said it's thundering. Here. Okay, I'm gonna cut this intro short because I have to go play ball now. So in our bowl, we have 1 pound of ground pork. I'm gonna add half a cup of some diced onion. So like 1 medium onion, just diced, pretty small. I'm gonna do a tablespoon of garlic, so like 4 cloves. Then I set the pork aside because I like to make the rest of the seasoning blend in a separate bowl just so no part ends up with like more or less than the whole thing. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. If you didn't have brown sugar, I wouldn't really recommend using white sugar. I would just kind of leave it out and maybe just put a little bit of maple syrup on your sausage patty because brown sugar has that like this goldeny color, the molassesy in it. So yeah. Then we're gonna add a tablespoon of some ground sage. Mine is from my garden, like from the summer. I just dried it out. So that's why mine's gonna look a little bit different than your guys's. Then I'm gonna add about half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of some crushed red pepper flakes. Of course, make it to your heat preference. Then gonna add almost a tablespoon of salt. I know a tablespoon sounds like a lot, but you know what? Maybe we'll just go with like half a tablespoon. Or a tablespoon. Whenever I'm making like anything with a pound of ground beef, I've learned from so many cooking shows, you want a tablespoon per pound. And then a whole teaspoon of some ground black pepper. Then once I have that, I just like to give it a little mix and kind of break up the brown sugar clumps and just help everything get incorporated. The thing I love about this too is if you just go ahead and smell this, it smells sweet and spicy. You're getting the heat from the crushed red pepper, but you're also getting like that mapliness from the sugar and just that sweetness. The sage smells really good too. Okay, so we're gonna bring over our meat mixture and just kind of break it up a little bit. Just like with meatballs, I always tell you guys never to over mix. You don't wanna overwork everything because then it just becomes really tough. Okay, I keep going out of frame here. I'm so used to filming with the camera on my left side and not my right side. So, a little bit of a mix. Of course, everything will incorporate a little bit better once it's all in there. Then, we're gonna add all of this seasoning mix. Then you wanna start mixing. You could go in with your silicone scraper. I always tell you guys this is like an absolute essential. But I really feel like to get everything in there, you have to use your hands. Now, of course, hands washed and cleaned. And you wanna make sure you take off your rings if you have any rings or bracelets or whatnot on that hand, because meat getting in there, disgusting. You will have a couple of pieces of just like onion and a little bit of the pork that stick to the bottom. And that's fine because you can just kind of pack it in. But that's it, less than like 15, 20 seconds of mixing it in. Now we can form our patties. So for pretty like decent sized patties, I just go around the bowl and just scrape down the sides, make sure everything's kind of pressed together. And I like to score it. So start in half one way, down like this, flip the bowl, half again. So with this, you should be able to make 8 of them. Some are gonna come out a little bit bigger, some are gonna come out smaller, but that's the beauty of making your own patties. Now I just have a little cutting board, or I guess this is pretty big of a cutting board. I'm gonna take one of the quarters and just kind of make it into a ball, roughly, and just break it in what I think is half. If you wanted to be perfect, you could measure it, but that's a lot of work, especially for breakfast time. So I'm just gonna take them and just start pressing it down. Just like a ground beef patty or anything, they're gonna shrink as they cook. And that's fine. You could just keep it and make like 4 giant ones that are gonna fit on like a piece of bread rather than like an English muffin. But do whatever works for you, boo. But just like I always say for any patty, make it somewhat hollow, less thick in the middle. And just press outward. And we're gonna do the same for the other ones. The thing I love about this is, so obviously, I mean, they taste amazing, but it's a lot cheaper, just like any food really is to make yourself at home. and they freeze really, really well too. So I've frozen them raw and I've frozen them cooked. After doing both of those, I recommend freezing them cooked just because they're frozen. And if you're not gonna thaw it out the day before, it's so hard to cook frozen food. So now I'll work on the rest and we'll come back. Okay, I wasn't able to fit all of them on the cutting board at once because I probably needed a bigger one. So now we can work on cooking these. So I'm gonna add a little bit of vegetable oil to a nonstick skillet. You guys know, typically I would say use like a cast iron or a stainless steel pan to get like that ultimate crustiness. But this is early morning cooking. I want something easy, and a nonstick, perfect. Okay, pan is nice and hot. We're gonna swirl that around. Even though it's nonstick, I always like to double be sure. That makes no sense. And I'm gonna take pork patty, kind of just slide it on there. And then, to get a crust, don't wanna measure. Okay, this child over here. Hey, we're touching mommy's lights. We'll probably be able to get about 3 in here. Now don't worry if some of your onions start falling out. It's pretty much almost gonna happen because unless you like grate it in and get it super fine, that's just what happens, and it's okay. So we're gonna let them cook about 3 to 4 minutes aside. Remember, pork you want to be completely cooked through. And another reason too that you wanna use a nonstick skillet, now that I think about it, it's been a while since I've made these, and I don't know why, because they're so freaking good. But because of that sugar in there, it's gonna caramelize, and so obviously you're gonna get great flavor and color, but it creates like a little crusty barrier, and sometimes they get stuck. And if they do, you know what, it's fine because it's still gonna taste good, but at least this way, less cleanup. Okay, after a couple minutes, and give it a flip. Ooh, pretty. Okay, other one. See that like nice coloring? I can't even talk. I'm just, oh my goodness. I'm so ready for this. Okay. Now those are done. We're just gonna put them on a separate plate and let them cool. So I just want to show you guys, I was able to get 8 of them, which is perfect. I'm gonna build a little bit of a sandwich for you guys. I just have toasted bread with avocado and like 2 slices of cheese. Then I'm gonna add a patty. Then we can add a beautiful sunny side up egg. Absolutely perfect. And that's it. The most amazing, incredibly delicious